Welcome back, everybody. It is great to be with you despite all things. It is our mission today to have fun. So let's start with not a super important subject, but really salacious, which is inside the chaos and turmoil of the Trump administration. It wasn't just Elon being there, apparently, that caused these wild near-physical altercations. They've continued, and the common denominator just might shock you. Before showing that to you, this took place at the Executive Branch Club in Georgetown. And this is a club co-founded by this guy.
I know. Luckily, I don't snort cocaine.
Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call.
Kimberly for press secretary. Perfect. You know what? That'd be great. You can do like 6 days a week in Washington, D.C. I get peace and quiet. Everyone wins. Don't tell her I said that. That would be trouble.
Imagine if it was Don Jr. smoking crack with prostitutes.
Here we go. Oh boy.
Yeah. So that, if you don't know who Donald Trump Jr. is, that's just our little crash course. And he co-founded a club for rich people who want to hang out with Trump officials, sort of. A new private membership club in Washington, D.C., co-founded by Donald Trump Jr., is charging $500,000 in a membership fee. $500,000 to hear Donald Trump Jr. say,
I don't snort cocaine.
There it is. And there was a waiting list. The executive branch is called. This is just the most typical way, other than buying Trump crypto coin, to buy influence with the Trump administration. They're all going to hang out here. You pay $500,000 to hang out with them and hear Donald Trump Jr.'s non-stories about prostitutes, the things that he didn't do, as you heard him argue in that clip, and hear him say, oh, what? Me run for president? And have a good time, and then access Trump administration officials. And sometimes you'll get to witness near fights. Apparently, this was the grand opening of the Executive Branch Club, which is just so icky. It's the most swampy thing you can imagine. They're all about, let's fight against the elites, and then rich people are paying $500,000 just to come hang out with Scott Bessent. So this story, let me take you on a little journey. This story involves these two people and a bunch of other folks were witnessing it. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and this guy whose name is Bill Pulte, and he is the Housing Finance Chief. And listen to this. Do you remember the Elon Musk Bessent confrontation? Bessent didn't like that Elon was doing whatever he wanted at the White House, and they started screaming and shoved each other, and Bessent said, I'm going to F you up or something, effing shut up. Well, something similar happened where Pulte, the housing finance chief, had been caught whispering in Trump's ear gossip, hot goss about Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, who we see a lot of. He's always trying and failing to defend Trump's tariffs. And they were at this cocktail hour, nightmare. And this is what took place. So Bessent's confronting Pulte. I should have gotten his pronunciation before the segment, but we'll have fun with it, whatever. That guy, you know who I'm talking about. And he walks up and Bessent says to Pulte, why the F are you talking to the president about me? F you. I'm going to punch you in your effing face. And then Omid Malik intervened and said, whoa. And Bessent turned to him and said, it's either me or him. You tell me who's going to get the F out of here, or we could go outside. This is Scott Bessent. Keep that in mind. Podcast listeners, look up a photo of Scott Bessent. He's not exactly the let's take this outside type of guy. I'm going to punch you. Okay, so this is a funny part of it. He said, I'm going to punch you in your effing face. We got that. And then they intervene. Omid Malik. I won't assume the pronouns. No, he intervenes. And Bessent goes, it's either him, Pulte, or me, Bessent. Tell me who's going to leave. And then Pulte goes, to do what? What are we going outside for? To talk? And Bessent says, no, I'm going to effing beat your ass. Scott, that's insane. Wow. Now, Scott Bessent lives in a pink house Just remember that. We've talked about it before. And this is not so relevant. He happens to be gay. So he's an older gay man who lives in a pink house. Just a strange archetype to be saying, let's take this outside. I'm going to punch you in your effing face. You know where I live because it's pink. Yeah, you can see that on screen. Now, I always like to contextualize these Bessent freaking out stories with just clips of Bessent so that you can imagerize it better.
A new high.
Hasbro says they're going to have to increase their prices. Goldman Sachs says 86% of the tariff revenue collected so far has been paid by American businesses and consumers. So just bottom line, Mr. Secretary, do you acknowledge that these tariffs are a tax on American consumers?
No, I don't.
Even though you have companies saying they are going to have to increase prices, and given the fact that 86% of these tariffs so far have been paid by Americans.
You're quoting Goldman Sachs. So
yes, Goldman Sachs, correct.
I made
Which I said, yeah.
I made a good career trading against Goldman Sachs.
Okay, all right.
So that's Scott Bessent. This is Scott Bessent.
And all this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate.
I think about that about once a week. You might even say he goaded China.
China!
That little smirk. Scott, you're up to something dirty. Scott. Now, here's the deal. I think this story tells us a little bit about not judging books by their cover. Because I have to be honest, maybe I have to apologize to Elon. No, I'm not going to apologize, but you get the point. I thought Elon must have been the reason that Bessent and Elon fought each other physically, shoved each other at the White House. Not something that usually happens at the White House. They shoved each other, and Bessent was, saying, F you, and you're on ketamine. I think actually he brought up, are you on drugs? Was part of the confrontation. And I thought, that must have been because Elon's so unstable. But then Bessent gets into a second near physical altercation with another Trump administration official. I think we found our common denominator. It's Scott Bessent, which is totally a shocker. Now, you might remember, we'll do a little flashback here. Aside from Bessent serving a horrendous president and overseeing horrendous economic policy, if you just saw him, you'd be like, that seems like a nice guy. Kind of soft-spoken, meek in a way, lives in a pink house. And that's kind of like a fun, cute contrast about him is he's so mild-mannered and would seem to be more shy, but then he has a big pink mansion, and it's like, whoa, you kind of, there's a little bit of a flare inside of you, And so I thought if it weren't for him being a part of such a destructive administration, that we could be friends. Remember this? While we watch, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It's free, but it supports us algorithmically. Boom, boom, boom.
Which is much every day, suggests the impact of the tariffs is not hit yet.
Well, why don't we look at the data rather than the hysteria, which is how I made my career.
Scott, aw. I hate when I have to not like someone because I don't like them. Wait, that sounds weird. I hate whenever someone does bad stuff, so I have to not like them, but they actually seem kind of adorable if it weren't for them doing bad things, Like, watch this ending. The way he's doing his hand.
Suggests the impact of the tariffs is not hit yet.
Well, why don't we look at the data rather than the hysteria, which is how I made my career.
Aww. Like, I would love to have a nice beef ravioli. What was the beef? Wellington from The Murder Story. I would love to share a plate of beef Wellington with Scott. Will you share a plate of beef Wellington with me, Scott? And just talk. It's a bummer that he has to be serving one of the worst presidents we've ever had. Because otherwise, show Scott. Me and Scott could have a very nice beef Wellington together. I know that about Scott. And he'd make it too. That's the cool thing. He'd make it and it would be a homemade recipe. Not from his mom, but from his aunt specifically. And he would do this thing where, here, let me show you. He would smile at me like this and he would say, Luke, this is a homemade beef Wellington, but I'm not going to tell you my secret ingredient. It's love. I made it with love. He would say that and I would smile and I would enjoy the beef Wellington. He would ask dessert. I would say, I don't want dessert. Sorry. Watching my calories. And he would go, me too. And so then we would eat sugar-free ice cream together. And we'd have a good time is my point. We'd enjoy each other. But, unfortunately, he has to be serving Trump. And so we can't be buddies. But he seems to have a sweet spirit. I wanted it. Scott, I thought we could share a moment together. This sounds like I'm making an advance at him. Not my type. If you couldn't assume that by our ages. No, not as friends. We both, I don't actually eat sugar-free ice cream. What the freak am I doing that for? Just eat the real thing. But I think we could have such a nice time, and now I can't. Because apparently, not only are you the Treasury Secretary for Trump, which is the biggest disqualifier, but also I misjudged your book. It's not all soft and cuddlies in there. You're kind of an a-hole. You know the phrase, wow, that's an interesting Scott Bessent photo. You know the old phrase that everyone's grandpa told them, but nobody's at the same time? Everyone cites their grandpa saying it, but nobody's really told them this. But it's, if every room you're in, everyone else is an a-hole, you're the a-hole, right? You're the common. He is it. And I feel like I would say, oh, this Wellington's good. Do people use it like that? Just the second half? This is good, but it needs a little more salt. And then he would blow up and be like, F you, let's take this outside. Keep thinking of the Cardi B song. Outside, something, something outside. You don't know it, it's fine. And he would blow up at me. I can't trust he has a temper? That's unexpected. And this was the other one I referenced. F you, F you was the headline. Scott Bessent shouted down at Elon Musk during West Wing brawl, and they literally physically brawled. Scott, I think this sort of mannerism makes you think that he is more level-headed, but really, he's not. That smile, it's a tricky smile. If we were in the same age bracket, Scott, you'd mislead me with that smile. Many of people have misled me with that smile. And then turned out to be a-holes. Every one of them, but I'm not the a-hole, they're the a-hole. All of they are. Not me. Just keeps not working. Because everyone else is a sociopath. Then another little, just because we brought up Elon, interesting exchange. Elon had to correct the energy department. So a new thing since Trump started screaming about windmills and saying that green energy is terrible and driving up our energy costs because of his attack on renewable energy. All of the Trump administration now went into their brain and removed the part that understands batteries and understands we can store energy. So now just the official U.S. Department of Energy account is saying wind and solar energy infrastructure is essentially worthless when it's dark outside and the wind is not blowing. To which a community note said batteries allow electricity to be stored and used at a different time than when it is generated. And then Elon, formerly of the Trump administration, was like, hello, and cited his whatever achievements with battery power. And we are obligated to pay this clip whenever batteries come up.
the windmills. You're ruining your countries.
He's 100% right. We don't have technology to store the energy from wind and solar.
How about you give me $1 million and I'll give you an invention where it's really cool. I came up with it, where you generate energy and you save it in this thing. We can call it a Batteron. Well, maybe we'll call it Beasley's Batteron. Well, Batteron doesn't rhyme with Beasley. What if we did something with E at the end of it? Beasley's battery. Let's say that. And it stores the energy and then you can use it later. That's a pretty cool idea. I figured it out. And we can name it something like Duracell. What is he thinking that he's saying? They're all doing this. You saw the Fox contributor. I can't remember, maybe it was the EPA commissioner being like, well, see, here's the deal with wind. If the wind doesn't blow, then your TV turns off. Okay. Well, this was Bessent being asked. I know this is going long. We're just having too much fun with this particular story, but Bessent was asked about his exchange with Elon.
Elon Musk was a little bit of a thorn in the side, I think, for a few of the cabinet members, including you. And I asked President Trump about the famous stoush between you and Elon Musk, where there was a shouting match outside his office and Elon Musk reportedly shoved you. Is that true?
We have had disagreements, but we both want to get to the same place.
So that was as much of a confirmation as he was going to give us of that. And then, yes, I've seen the photo. Everyone's sending me this photo. Luke, have you seen this? What am I supposed to do? I know other YouTubers are going to be like, Trump caught taking Viagra, but I don't know. There's a pill in his mouth. Here, I can see. Yeah. Here, I could even, let's see. Yeah, but you can keep it. Can I even? There we go. So podcast listeners, there's like a pill between his teeth, which when you're in public is kind of a funny way to take up, but it could have been a mint. It could have been anything. I don't know. What's more interesting about this photo to me is, let's play a game. Which person in this photo behind Trump is Caroline Levitt? 50% chance you're gonna find it. They look so similar. Do you get it, Cole? Because they look similar. Oh, sorry. Cole is just a little late to the party there. With love to ZBC. So yeah, that's what stuck out to me about that photo, but it could have been anything. Who knows? Drugs.